the Bible, there are many stories, but I believe the one that I would like for us to study on is one of the very familiar stories, if not the most story. So I want us to study it with a viewpoint that would enable us to see how God operates. Many times it is that we don't know how God operates, and we are always trying to figure Him out. We are always trying to see where God is and what God is doing, and this is because of our lack of knowledge. When we do not know how God operates, how we can position ourselves to be where God wants us to be, we always miss our opportunities. You know, there is a positioning that has to happen in us, for us, by us. The positioning matters. It matters the most. Positioning has to happen, whether it be lining up mentally, or whether it be lining up spiritually, whether it be lining up financially. It doesn't matter what it is. That positioning will make or break. So God is always in the process of trying to reposition us, redirect us, and set us in a place where we can prosper and where we can benefit from all the good He placed for us. He paid for us. It is not something that came to us just because we are lucky. You know, it's not. It is not. Somebody paid for it. Somebody paved the way for us through prayer. There was a time in my life. This was before I came to Christ. I was riding on my motorcycle, and I was riding on a highway, and when I was doing that, it's an interstate, and I was driving, a lot of trucks are driving by and back and forth, everything. I was dozing. I was so tired. I shouldn't have been on the motorcycle, but you know, that's one of those dark days. It is 3 BC, you know. So when I was living like that, I didn't care. I was dozing off, and the next thing I know, I was off the road somewhere. I woke up. By the time I woke up, I was somewhere close to being in a ditch. I was stunned. I was right in the middle of the highway. How did I go here and not even get hurt? That was my biggest surprise. I was like, you know. Immediately what I did was like, man, that's great. I just was like, oh, I thought it was a tough life for me. Man, that couldn't do anything to me. Let me go. I got my motorcycle back and put myself together and started driving back. Nothing happened then. But later on, after comes 3 AD, after I came to Christ, and once I came to Christ, there was a day I had this encounter from God, with God, and He was revealing something to me in a trance vision or a trance dream kind of a thing. And in there, what He was revealing was, there was somebody out there in Africa whom God had laid me on that person's heart. It's a she. God laid me on her heart, and she was praying for me. And because of that prayer, God was protecting me. So nothing comes into our life just like that. There is God working behind the scenes. The more I became more confident in this thing, even when I am not seeing, God is working behind the scenes. He is putting things together. How this is going to affect you. How this is going to impact you. He knows all those things. He is trying to put things together. And He is asking, inviting people to come and be a partaker of His plan rather than an opposer of His plan. Many people read bad things in their lives Mostly because they're opposing God's plan. God's plan is so vast, and He wants us to participate in it. The moment I was given the opportunity to come to Christ, the clear distinction when I was given that, I jumped into it. And as soon as I jumped into it, I knew I am here for the long run. Because I knew where I was. Because I knew what I was, what I would have been, how soon I would have been there. I would have been there. It just takes one step to lose my life. And as soon as I came to Christ, and as soon as I knew there is this new way of living, there is a way that God wants us to live, not the way I thought, not the way I figured out, not the way I thought He's going to work the best for me. The moment I realized it, I embraced it. I hung on to it, and I kept making steps in there. I'm positioning, repositioning, reconfiguring. Every single day, every single opportunity God gives me a conviction. It's an opportunity for me to reconfigure myself, reposition myself, so I can see the most of God in my life. Amen? Anybody here want to see more than what you have seen of God? I want to see more of God. I want Him to be working in my life more. What He has done for me, I know this thing from the Word of God. What He has done for me is nothing in comparison to what He is laying hold of. So there is more that God has to offer for me. There is more God can give me. There is a lot of opportunity with God. So I want to fully avail what God is planned for me. God has planned for me so many things. So this is part of that I want us to reposition ourselves in attaining what God wants us to attain. This story is one of the most familiar stories. Let's go with me to the book of 1 Samuel, starting at 17th chapter. 1 Samuel 17th chapter, starting at verse 38. By now you know this story. 1 Samuel 17th chapter, starting from 38th verse. So Saul clothed David with his armor, and he put a bronze helmet on his head. He also clothed him with a coat of mail. David fastened his sword to his armor and tried to walk, for he had not tested them. And David said to Saul, I cannot walk with these, for I have not tested them. So David took them off. Then he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in the shepherd's bag, and in a pouch which he had, and his sling was in his hand. And he drew near the Philistine. For the Philistine came and began drawing near to David, and the man who bore the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was fully a youth, ready and good looking. And so Philistine said to David, Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. Then David said to Philistine, You came to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give you canvas of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that all earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Then all this assembly shall know that the Lord does not save with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. So it was when Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. Then David put his hand in his back and took up a stone, and he slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead, so that the stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face on the earth. So David prepared over the Philistine and the sling, with a sling and a stone, and struck the Philistine and killed him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. This is one of the most familiar stories, David and Goliath. When you look at this thing, the biggest thing that we see, Goliath is intimidating. He is armed and dangerous. He is very strong. He was portrayed. The Bible calls him as a giant. He was a giant. He's very tall. You know, whenever we think about David, David is a young man, young kid. He is younger. He is too young. But he was facing this giant. He knocked him down with stones. He was protected with all the armor, all the swords, everything was there. But David went after him with the stone and knocked him down. There's an amazing story. Amazing incident that took place, that put David to a place where he can receive what he was positioned. Mind you, by this time, even before this, Samuel had come and already anointed him as the king of Israel. Amen? He was anointed to be the ruler of this land. Now, he is working for that king. Look at this thing. I'm trying to say something here. Where the position, the same position God may have given you, have chosen you for, but you still have to work for it. Just because God chooses you for a position, just because God has a plan for you, that doesn't mean you don't labor in it. You have to work into it. You have to work toward it. And this is the place where David was anointed by God to be the king. He could have just said, I should be the king, not this Jordan. He could have simply said, how dare this guy is giving me orders. But no, he knew I am here to work. I can show it to you even from the beginning of this chapter. But the giant was slain. The title of my message today is Giant Slayers, with an exclamation mark. The giant was slain, and it inspires me many times. This story inspires me. I can knock the giants down. I can pull the giants down. No matter what it is, no matter how big that might be, I can pull it down because David did it with stones. I can bring it down. I've seen it, many big preachers preach this preaching and say all these things. Look at this. It is not about the big things. You can do it with these small stones. You can destroy this man. But I want us to understand something here. The key is not the stone. David clearly makes it very clear. The key is not in the stone. He says, that the 45th verse, he says, that David said to Philistine, you come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of armies of Israel, whom you have defied. He is coming with a different armor. He didn't even have an armor on him. He wasn't dressed to win. He wasn't according to the standards. But he sure was clothed in the righteousness of God. He sure was wearing the breastplate of righteousness. The armor of God is what he was wearing when he was facing this giant. Amen? He may not be facing, he may not be wearing all the things that was provided to him, but he sure was covered in the armor of God. I am coming to you in the name of the Lord. In the name of the Lord. He was protecting himself in there. He was covering himself in there. You might look at him as he is so unprotected. No, he is not, but he was completely protected. Better protected than Goliath. He was better equipped than Goliath. You might think that he is the giant. In reality, it is the David that is the giant. Goliath is not the giant. We are making and we are giving value to the things around us, too much of a value. When they don't even come close to it. We are making them look bigger than they are. We are making them seem bigger than they are to. And here, David sees it differently. Everybody that was in that war, everybody saw this giant, and they were scared of him. They were afraid of him, and they were running around trying to find a possible way how they can hide themselves, how they can protect themselves, how they can guard themselves. They were looking for all those options. But David saw it differently. Why is what I want to talk about. You know, he became a giant slayer. He slayed this giant. He knocked him down with stones. It's amazing, right? If you can knock a big thing down with small stones, it's so amazing. Don't you want to be that? You know, I always look at myself, how I'd rather be a giant slayer. Do you know how you can really kill an elephant? If you ever study, it's a huge thing, right? It's a huge animal. Yet, if you go and hit it on its head, it's going to die. That big of an elephant, they go and hit it. Even if you want to do it with your hands, you can do that. If you're strong enough to do it, you can bring it down. You can bring the giant elephant down if you can hit it on its forehead. The huge thing. So I always look at myself like, oh, let me be that person who can bring these big things down with small effort, with minimal effort. We always talk about that thing so much. Let's be smart. Let's be smart. Don't be hard worker, but be a smart worker. We say all those things. But the point that we miss in there is something I wanted to go after. There is a point that we have to understand. How did David kill this giant with small stones? That's what I want to find out. How was he able to come to that place? How was he able to slay these giants with minimum effort? That is what I want us to do. Many times we use that as the starting point. We try to encourage people to go to that place and have that ambition, have that vision in them that you can slay this giant, go at it. Truth be told, David didn't become the giant slayer overnight. That is not his true story. That is not what happened. Now go back just a few verses. He says, he looks at the challenge. First we have to look for the challenge. What was the challenge that was offered to him? That was given in front of him. The challenge, everybody was speaking out. Nobody is wanting to do it, but he was the one who took up on that place, on that position. Can we be that one of a kind? You know, David became one of a kind. We still talk about the King David today. There were so many kings throughout the book, throughout the Bible. There are so many other kings, but we seldom talk about them. But we always talk about King David. And even Jesus was recognized. When he was recognized, he said, Son of David. Jesus, Son of David. Jesus, Son of David. Now, 17th chapter, the same chapter starting from verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered their armies together to battle, and were gathered at Soka, which belongs to Judah. They encamped between Soka and Elzah in West David. And Saul and men of Israel were gathered together. They encamped in the valley of Elah and drew up in battle array against Philistines. The Philistines stood on the mountain, one side, the Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, with a valley between them. Now pay attention, valley. Valley. Amen? Who wrote about valley? Psalm 23, David writes about valley. He knows very well about what valley is. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Amen? He sees a valley here between these two things. I just want us to travel with David. Not just walk into this frame. Just let's travel with David. So he says, and the champion went out from the camp of Philistine, named Coloss from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And he had bronze armor on his legs and bronze javelin between his shoulders. Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels, and a shield bearer went before him. And he stood and cried out to the armies of Israel and said to them, Why have you come out to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And you, the servants of Saul, choose a man for yourself and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. If I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be your servants. That's the challenge. It's always a challenge. You know, I never wanted to be challenged, but you are. Jesus never wanted to be challenged, but the devil comes and says, if you are the Son of Man, turn these rocks into bread. He is always challenged. You are always challenged no matter where you go. You will be challenged. Sometimes the challenge is coming from giants. Giants will be approaching you. The giants could be our addictions. The giants could be our financial problems. Giants could be our family relationships. It could be something that is too much for you. Your own state of mind could be a giant. Something that is too big for us is trying to challenge us. Whether you notice it is as a challenge or not, some people didn't look at it as a challenge. They thought it is a death trap. They gave up even before they went into the challenge. There are many people, many of us are giving up a challenge when it is just a challenge for you to go challenge your challenge. You have to go and challenge it. You have to get into the challenge. Many of us dwelling in a state of fear where you are not even trying to take down on your challenge. Sometimes some of us have been grew so numb to this challenge that we are not even trying to make an effort. Then these people, these Israelites, knew there was this challenger that is challenging them. But they were dwelling on the other side. They were just dwelling on the other side, doing a whole bunch of nothing about it. Many times we are in that situation. When challenging, when things are challenging you, when your health is challenging you, when your body is challenging you, when your mind is challenging you, when your family is challenging you, when your finances are challenging you, what are you doing? Are you letting that fellow mock you, or are you going to take down the challenge? Yes, the challenger is mighty. Yes, the challenger is great. I don't deny that. That is too big for us. Many situations, it is too big. I can't control my thoughts. I can't do this thing. I can't do that. There is always that. The same situation was offered to David. Everybody was sitting, doing nothing about it. There comes this one person. One person walks into the same situation. Remember this thing. God will not give you special circumstances. God will give you the same opportunities. How you respond is what makes the difference. How you respond to them. How you react to them. How you act upon them. That's all. That is where we have to understand. How can I act like this? How can I be like this thing? That has to be something we need to train ourselves. We need to challenge ourselves. How can I react like this? Can I be like David? When I walk through this challenge, I don't just walk away from it, rather I walk into it. Can I be that giant slayer? Should I be? Or I can tell you that. You should be. It is you who has to decide. You want to let the giants control you, or you want to be the in charge of your life? It is your choice. Many times we are giving all these things control over us. They are controlling us. Our addictions control us. Our thoughts control us. Our kids control us. Our family controls us. Our finances control us. Are we letting everything and everybody control us? Do they have that kind of a power? Is there somebody who can challenge the challenge? That is my challenge for us. Is there somebody in you that can challenge the challenger that is challenging you from outside? Paul made a clear distinction. He said, greater is he that is in me than he that is in this world. There was a challenger challenging him every day. Every day of his ministry he was challenged. He was being challenged. But there Paul comes and says, greater is he that is in me than he that is in this world. The same thing Jesus did. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of the Lord. He was challenging the challenge. Maybe we should push ourselves as a Christian. We should push ourselves as somebody who believes in this living God. We should push ourselves to be in a place where we can challenge the challenge, rather than just bowing down before the challenge. But how can we go there? You might ask. I want to ask myself the same thing. The same thing, the true thing comes from always remember this thing. It is your character that either makes you or breaks you. It is your character. What you do as a consistent thing is what is going to bring the victory or failure in your life. Character is something that you build. It doesn't come to you just like that. Character comes to you as you keep doing the same thing again and again and again and again. That's how you build your character. When you build a character to win, you will win. If you build a character to lose, you will lose. What is the character that you are building for yourself? Are you a quitter? Or are you somebody who doesn't give up? Are you a compromising person? Or are you somebody who does not compromise? Are you a worker? Or are you a lazy person? Are you a giver? Or are you a stealer? Suddenly will happen in our lives as we walk in character. I'm going to prove it to you in a minute. David slaying giants is David's character. Amen. It is his character. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. It is his character. He kept doing the same thing again and again and again and again. One day, what he did came to light. He was doing the same thing while nobody was watching him. While there was nobody telling him what to do, what not to do. Even then, he was doing the right thing. That is what Joseph is. Even when there was nobody that is looking at him, nobody trying to stop him, he still chose to do the right thing. David did the same thing. He was doing the right thing. He was building a character. When he walked into this thing, he just stumbled into it. He was sent by his father. He wasn't part of the army. He wasn't part of the battle. He was just there. Many times you will be put in places. God will put you in places where your character is needed. Your character is needed. If you are not a man of character, if you are not a woman of character, your character will determine how that situation is going to end up. If you are a person with a character of fear, that situation is going to get worse. If you are a person with a character of faith, that situation is bound to change. If you are a person of giving, and this situation will change. If you are a person of withholding, this situation will have those results. That is where God says, for God is not mocked, for whatsoever man soweth, that and that alone he shall reap. But God is not mocked. In all these cases, God is not even involved. It is us. Our character. What do we do on a daily basis matters. What do we do on a daily basis matters the most. Amen. Now I'm going to come to this place. The beginning of giant slaying. I want to talk about that. Go with me to the same 17th chapter, starting at 34th verse. 34th verse reads like this. But David said to Saul, your servant used to keep his father's sheep. Now look at this thing. He wasn't in the giant slaying business. He wasn't taking down these soldiers. He wasn't in all the business, but he was just watching over his father's sheep. While he was doing this, when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock. When a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, a lamb, he had many, but one was taken away from him. That means we have to understand his character here. He is not going to let things go. He is somebody when he knows this is mine. This is my precious son. This is my precious daughter. This needs to be inside. This is my sheep. This is something that is under me. This is under my authority. This is under my anointing. I need to take care of this thing. And what stole it from him was beyond his strength. He could have just gone to Jesse, his dad, and said, Jesse, Dad, the lion ate. He would have known that. He knows lions are too big. He knows the bears are too big. He knows that. Everybody that's a shepherd, they know that there will be a loss. Especially for these animals, they know that. They know it very well. This character of David, I just want us to understand. When he went and married Bathsheba, this character comes into play. But anyway, I'm not going there today. But he goes And he says, but David said to Saul, oh no, I'm sorry. The 35th verse. I went out after it. I went out after it. Going after it is not a new thing for him. He did the same thing with Goliath. He went after it. He ran to him is what Bible says. He ran to him. Going after it is not a new thing for him. He is being trained with a lion and a bear. He is being trained. He is building his character in small areas, in the little things that may not even matter. He was okay if he didn't take care of it. He was fine if he would have come to Dad and said, Dad, the lion came and ate this thing. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that. He said, I went after it and stuck it and delivered the lamb from its mouth. And when it rose against me, I caught it by its beard and struck and killed it. If you look at it, the killing of Goliath is the same story. The same story, nothing changes. Except the challenger. Except the challenger. The challenger have changed, but he was the same thing. The David was the same David. He was seeing the same way. He didn't see anything different. When the lion came and challenged him by taking one sheep of his flock, only one, he ran after it. He went after it. He didn't go down. He didn't let it go down. He stood there. He went after it. And then he says he challenged it. And then if it came back, he even took care of it. He took care of it. The same thing happened. Right now, the first thing he does it, he knocks it down. Go ahead. He was knocked down. The next thing he said, the 51st verse, if you come down, 51st verse says, therefore David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of his sheath, and killed him, and cut his head with it. The same thing. Same thing. Nothing changed. But what it is he built a character. He built a character. He was the man. He was a man that would go into the challenger, not walk away from the challenge. He was never scared of the challenge. Even when it was not needed, he went. It is not his responsibility. He is not part of the army. He was not part of the army. Remember this thing. God created you to be a problem solver. Amen? God created you to be a problem solver. You go into a problem, you can bring a solution. Never leave the place thinking it is too much for me. God has sent you there to provide a solution. God has put you there to give answers. You are an answer to someone's prayer. Can somebody say amen to that? You are an answer to someone's prayer. You can do what God has put you there for. You can make a difference that no man can make. No other person can do that. You can do that. That is how God positioned. The problem with many of the Christians, us, is we want to be the giant slayers, but we are so backwards when it is to bring the path. The small things, when you are not being noticed, when nothing seems important for you, nothing is working in your favor, you are out there in no man's land and nobody is watching over you, nobody is looking over you. But bless God, God is looking over us. That is the right place for us to build the character. The right character can be built at small things, not at the big things. Not at the big things. If you don't build your character at small things, you will never have character when you go for the big things. You will never, ever, ever have that. Your character starts at small things. You know, there is a beautiful saying we have, do not underestimate the humble beginnings. There is so much of wisdom. Because it sets the course for you when you are in small places. Small things. When you can't take down the small thing, don't expect the giants to come down. I'm sorry. I'm sorry the giants are not coming down. You ain't a giant slayer. Because you never killed a dog. He never did the small things. You never touched, you never tried to get rid of the fly that is trying to get and nag you. You weren't trying, you weren't fighting. When you were not trying to deal with the small things, how can you deal with the big? Every Christian inspires to be a giant slayer. He wants big things happening in our lives. If I were to preach today, God is about to give you something big. Every one of us will get excited and rant about it. Yes, God is about to give big things, but you need to build your character. I'm a practical person. I want to go there and not just dream about it. I want to have my dreams fulfilled in my life. I just don't want just dreams. I want my dreams to come to pass. But that and character has to be built. The character is what is going to produce the results that you and me are looking for. The giant slaying is not an accident. It is a result of your character. The giant slaying comes out of your character. If you don't know how to believe God for your small things, this is where my journey started, in believing God, in having faith. I needed a pair of underwear. That is where my faith started. If you can't believe God for that, forget about believing for a house. Forget about believing for a car. Forget about believing for a debt freedom. If you can't believe God while you are giving your tithe, don't expect God to multiply you somewhere. We are missing it. We are missing the opportunity in building our character. Every single scene that is being provided to us is an opportunity to build faith. To build that muscle, the giant slaying muscle. It is an opportunity, every single thing. When you see this is not working, lay your hands on the refrigerator and pray over it. If it is not, you need to use your faith there. You need to start using that before you can lay your hands on the sick and they will recover. If you can't deal with the small things, it can never happen in your time. My statement here is this: your victory over giants will come through your victory over small things. Your victory over giants will only come through your victory over small things. Many times I have seen people that got exalted without going through small battles. I have seen, you saw these people, young people that become superstars in no time. Next thing you know, they are forgetting. Because they didn't know how to slay the small things. They never built the character to go up there. That's why I really don't like these little superstars or anything like that. Thank God for their talent. But no, they're not equipped. They have to go through the small things that build character. Without character, you will be losing things. You will be failing. You will be set to fall, not to win. God clearly says, set your mind on things that are of higher value, not of the lower value. Colossians 3:14 or 1 through 4 reads like this. The book of Colossians. Third chapter, starting from verse 1. If then you were raised with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ is, sitting at the right hand of God. Set your mind on the things above, not on the things of the earth. For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, appears, then you also will appear with Him. If you are in Christ, set your things on Him. Your mind has to be focused on that. That is how we build our character. Therefore, put to death your members. It goes on, talks about the rest, the 5th verse and 6th verse, so on and so forth. God is calling every time. He needs somebody who can consistently and constantly think the way He thinks. He needs somebody with that character. We need to build that character at small levels, not at the giants. By the time we face giants, it is a little too late. It is a little too late because we haven't built our muscle. We haven't built our character for it. I've seen many Christians fail at this place of facing the giants because they have never worked in believing God in the small things. They have never worked in using those small things, small opportunities where you can build your character. So I pray God will take us to great victories. But at the same time, I pray that God will give us a quickening that it is not the big things, but it is the small things that matter most. It is the small things. I know every one of us here has the capacity to be a giant slave. But let's build our character to be a giant slave. Let us not underestimate any small thing that God is doing. Any small opportunity that God is bringing to us. Because there lies our giant slave. There lies our victory over giants and small things. And when there is an opportunity for you to believe for small things, do it. $10 is your need, give it there before you can believe for 10 things. You have to start there. Your faithfulness starts at small things, not at the big things. If only I had that, I would be faithful. I remember this story so clearly, this incident with my life so clearly. One girl that worked with me, she was so happy with all the work that I do. She comes to me saying, if I win the lottery, I will give you a lot of money. I'm like, I am pleased that you think that highly of me. What about the $10 you can spare now? If you don't do it now, it's never going to happen when you get it. Your character is built as small things, not as the big things. May the Lord grow us in the knowledge, and may the Lord strengthen us in building a character where we will transform and